spending your Friday morning with us, especially before a holiday break. We appreciate that, and before a holiday season. We're really excited to share a lot of great, helpful information with you across the state and across what SACAC is currently doing right now. And we're going to jump a little bit further into that a little bit later. Just to kind of go over an agenda for today, we're going to start with introductions, and then we actually have two wonderful speakers here today to talk to us about Georgia Match, about Georgia Futures, as well as need-based aid in our state. And we're really excited for Mindy Morrow and Ashley Young to join us to speak with you all today. And then we'll go through various SACAC committee updates, let you guys know what's going on specifically in the great state of Georgia, and we will wrap up. If you have any questions throughout this presentation, feel free to use the chat box at the bottom, and we'll try and follow up and answer any of those towards the end. We'll also check that towards the end of our professional speakers to see if you guys have any direct questions, and we'll be able to provide this information along with a recording and hopefully a link to these slides afterwards, after the holiday season. So we will go ahead and get started. I'm Alex Thackston. I'm an Associate Director of College Counseling at Marist School in Atlanta, Georgia, and one of the two state and area initiatives for Georgia members. Yep. Sorry.
Hi, I'm Loudine Louis. I am the Senior Assistant Director of Regional Enrollment at Miami University, and I am the other State of Georgia co-chair for SACAC State and Area Initiatives. And to start us off today, I'm actually going to pass it over to SACAC President-elect Anita Waugh.
Good morning, everyone. Not going to be long at all. I'm just saying hi and thank you all for joining the conversation today. And thank you for all that you're doing to support SACAC. I think, as we all know, every part of this is volunteer work except for the lovely Diana. But thank you all for all the ways you contribute. I'm not just biased about the state of Georgia because I, live here, but I am a little bit. We are doing such great work, and thank you to our co-chairs for all that you all do to organize us and bring us together. I'm just sending y'all a happy holiday. If you need anything on behalf of the presidential trio, Arlene is our current president, as a reminder, and then Sean Kennedy is our past president. But very excited to see you all. Just offering a welcome, happy holidays, all of that. Thank you, co-chairs, for all that you guys do.
And then, Anita, can you talk a little bit about who SACAC is?
Oh, yes. Yes. It's different on every call. Some people got it and some people are like, talk about SACAC. I mean, I think one of the biggest things, obviously you all can read the slides. I'm not a big read the slide presenter, but one of the things to just keep in mind in terms of the things that our mission statement and what SACAC stands for, it's supporting the people who support the students. So when we think about everything that we do, how we center the decisions, new programming, new initiatives, it's in support of you all and the work that you are doing to provide options and opportunities to our students in the Southeast. And some of that is straightforward and some of it is ever changing as you all keep seeing the news change, particularly in our region. But 9 states and the Caribbean, which I think we would define most actively as the U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. So we are a huge affiliate and one that I'm proud to be a part of. But as you consider, continuing your leadership in SACAC and volunteering, if you're ever curious about like what happened to those scholarships that we used to offer back in the day, or why are we only offering this type of programming, know that it's usually rooted in our mission to support you as the individuals that support students. So anyway, thank y'all. Was that good? Y'all good?
That was perfect.
Thanks, Anita.
Thank you so much, Anita.
Thank y'all. Everybody have a good day. I won't stay on very long, but maybe I'll see some of you in February for the Voices in Action. So thank y'all. And hey, Ashley.
Thank you so much, Anita. And now I'm going to pass it over to Mindy Morrow with the Georgia Student Finance Commission to talk a little bit about Georgia Match.
Good morning again, and thank you for inviting me to speak with you today. Will someone else control the slides, or Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you. I just want to give a brief update of the Georgia Match Initiative. We are actually in the third year of the Georgia Match program, and I serve as a senior manager for the outreach team, who members are located all over the state, as you all are aware. But just to give you a little information about the Georgia Match program, and you see all of the primary partners of this initiative that was, of course, started by Governor Kemp. And we can move on, please. And so the initiative was started by Governor Kemp in 2023. This is the third year of the program with the class of 2026. And so we are in collaboration not only with the Finance Commission, but with the university system, the technical college system, the Department of Education, as well as the Governor's Office of Student Achievement. And so the primary focus of the initiative was to reach students that may not necessarily have their goals after high school on college or attending any level of post-secondary education. And so we look to reach those particular students to give them options for post-secondary. Beginning this year, another initiative with the Georgia Match is the Top State for Talent Act, which was House Bill 192. It passed during the 2025 legislative session, and the act requires all ninth graders to create a GA Futures account. So that is another initiative that as we go out as part of the Georgia Student Finance outreach team is to encourage, to assist students, ninth graders particularly, to make sure they have a GA Futures account that will all tie into the overall Georgia Match Initiative. Thank you. And so GSFC proactively sends letters to every Georgia high school senior. And when I say every, that would be students that we have, the Finance Commission has their high school transcript on file with a valid address and a calculated HOPE GPA by the 11th grade. If we hear of students that did not receive a letter and do not have access to the letter on the student dashboard on GA Futures, then it's probably one of the reasons that's stated below. We do not have their transcript, there's an invalid address, or we do not have a calculated HOPE GPA by the 11th grade calculation. And so I didn't mention before, but students who receive an actual letter, a postal letter, can also retrieve their information from their student dashboard, which is available on GA Futures. And so some students, for example, that may have moved and did not receive the postal letter, if we have the other information, the transcript, the calculated GPA, they still will be able to receive their information on the student dashboard electronically. And high schools should also have access to that information as well. Okay. And so participating schools with Georgia Match will be all 22 technical institutions of Georgia, as well as 23 USG institutions. The post-secondary institutions that are currently not participating because they have a holistic admissions process are Georgia College and State University, Georgia Tech, and UGA, the University of Georgia. Each student's list will be customized based upon the institution's admissions criteria for those that are participating. And so the great thing about it is once the students retrieve their letters and the schools are listed, it will be schools that they meet admissions criteria for. So we interviewed and connect with students daily, and there are still numerous of students in the state of Georgia that were not aware of their options. And so receiving that letter helps them to get a different perspective. And so we also, with that, we are looking to keep students in Georgia for both college and in joining the workforce. And so we have a comprehensive direct admissions program. It identifies up to 45 Georgia public colleges and universities that has an academic match based on a high school senior's HOPE GPA, and the students are able to hold their spot. They can hold their spot and then they can claim a spot. Students are actually allowed to claim 3 spots, although they can very well make contact with other schools that they find that they meet admissions requirements for. And so this past a few weeks ago or last month, we actually sent out over 137,000 letters to Georgia's high school seniors that are attending over 700 public and private high schools. Also, which is also wonderful, including in that number were over and this should be changed. It says 1,000, but it was over 4,000 letters went to students who met the high school equivalency. And so that number is steadily increasing each year. Okay, and so here it is on that slide. The 1,000 letters represented the class of 2025, and this year with the class of 2026, again over 133,000 letters were sent, with 4,000 of them being to high school equivalency completers. The letters went out the day of the governors was having a workforce summit downtown Atlanta, and the letter actually went out that day and became available on the students' dashboards, and they have been sent out via postal mail ever since. So hopefully the students have received their letters and have began to make contact with the post-secondary institutions. And so this just gives a overview of what the letter looks like so students can actually expect and look for those letters. High school students will receive a letter from the governor in the fall of their senior year. Again, it's generated and mailed by Georgia Student Finance Commission. The letter will list all USG and TCSG institutions for which the student meets primary academic eligibility for, and eligibility is based upon the calculated HOPE GPA that GSFC has at the time. The letter will actually mention the availability of Georgia state aid programs for financing. There is a QR code that you see, which students can access to take them to their Georgia Match landing page. And the letter mentions the Georgia Match landing page offers that will offer translation of various languages. And so this is a screenshot of a GA Futures, the homepage that students can actually start at the homepage, log into their GA Futures account, and then once they've reached the student dashboard, they will be able to retrieve their Georgia Match information along with other information that may be relevant to their high school or senior year. We are currently in the month of November, which represents Georgia Apply to College Month, which is recognized primarily in November, but then again in the month of March. And so right now, we are, a lot of the high schools are actually holding Apply to College events that will tie into um, the Georgia I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. But during the month of November, the Georgia high schools use activities to build school excitement. A lot of high schools are holding events, taking pictures. They're posting it to the Georgia Student Finances platforms to get students encouraged about applying to colleges here in the state of Georgia. And at the end of October and all of November, we encourage students to visit GA Futures to view all of the participating Apply to College Month institutions for this current year and every year.
Wonderful.
Right.
Thank you
So
so
thank
much,
you so
Mindy.
much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I know for a bunch of my students who have asked about the Georgia Match, this is going to be helpful information to share with them. So we appreciate that. And for all of the educators on the high school side, this is something that's super helpful for us to know with our kids. So thank you for joining us today. Does anybody have any questions for Mindy about Georgia Match? Well, we're happy to share her email address if any questions pop up along the way about that, or Hope, Zell. We're happy to share any of that information a little bit later. Now, in addition to Georgia Match, which is focused on creating access for our students in our state, we also want to create more awareness and access for students when it comes to aid, particularly with need-based aid, which is something that we're still lacking here. So with that, we have updates provided by Ashley Young, and I will let Ashley take over.
Good morning, everyone. How's it going? Awesome. I see some smiles and some thumbs up, some familiar faces. Okay, gang's all here. We love to see it. Hey, hey. All right. Look, it is always a great day to talk education in Georgia. Yes. Now we're going to start out a little heavy, a little sad, right? But I am going to end this conversation with biscuits. So if you know me, you know we're going to talk about what burns your biscuits, okay? But also what I'm excited to talk about are real solutions that having transitioned from the practitioner space to now lobbyist researcher space, that we are working overtime to ensure that we have evidence-based, empirical-based information that can guide lawmakers. And y'all, it is happening. I have some great updates to share. So let's start with the problem, and then we're going to end with the issue, and then ways that you can help me. Now, Alex told me I had 10 to 12. Was it 8 to 10 or 10 to 12?
10 to 12.
10 to 12. Okay, so it's 10:20 now. Let's jump right in. Reducing student loan debt in Georgia. So we're going to kind of frame this issue. So Georgia is third in the nation for student loan debt per borrower. We don't want to be third in the nation for student loan debt per borrower, because this means that our students, particularly our Black and Brown students, which I'll get more into in just a moment, are disproportionately carrying, excuse me, this burden. We are behind Washington, D.C. and Maryland, respectively, and that's around a $42,000 average. Keep in mind, this is graduate student loans and such, but this is a very high sort of rank to have, and it's something that we are feeling, I know, as counselors and folks who are helping students go to college. And so this work, of course, is going to be dedicated to making sure that we can find ourselves in a better rank when it comes to student loan debt per borrower. Next slide, please. All right, let's kind of talk about some of our most vulnerable students. So this may not feel like the biggest drop, but there are serious implications here. So the percentage of Pell Grant students has steadily declined, and I'm just talking about the University System of Georgia, right? Our public four-year colleges here. Since 2015, it's dropped 5%. So at one point it had dropped 6, but it went back up to 40%. Let me tell you why this is a major problem. Let's be clear. You can infer perhaps that, oh, less students are Pell eligible, which means perhaps more students have more money to go to college. We know that's not the direction this is going in, right? What we can really truly infer from this, and I got a lot of this information from NCAN, is that it's not that students who are Pell eligible don't want to go to college. Of course, we know they want to. It's just they don't have feasible, affordable options. And so we are seeing the decline already. And this is before all of what we'll see from all of the impact of, One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which is now HR 1. I generally tell people, like, we're going to ask 10 years from now, like, what happened? And my answer is going to be policy. So we are seeing it play out in front of our eyes, just this steady decline of students who are Pell Grant eligible. And that is happening right here in Georgia. So this is something we want to keep salient because it's super important here. Next slide, please. So as we think about student loan debt, in fiscal year 2024, Black students had the highest amount of student loan debt in the university system of Georgia. So you can see that 359 figure there. Let me put it into perspective. There are only 25% of the students in USG are Black. However, they hold 44% of the student loan debt amount in USG. Let that sink in. So almost 50% of the student loan debt amount is actually it lives with Black and African American students, but they only make up a quarter, and that number has actually decreased in the last few years. Y'all, this is a crisis. What I also like to point out here is that white students are also carrying a lot of debt. Now, they have a much higher percentage or proportionate of students who are enrolled in USG, but let's be clear, it's impacting all students. It is disproportionately impacting Black students, but it is impacting all students. Next slide, please. All right, and that's a great segue, right? Average undergraduate student loan debt by race. Actually, white students have the most, just by a little bit, but they have the most on average. Now, again, they have the highest proportion of students in USG. But again, this student loan debt crisis, yes, it has greater impacts on students who have been historically excluded from building wealth. But the truth is, it's impacting all of our students. And we are seeing here Asian students, Hispanic students, and I want to be clear, I'm using the language of the race and ethnicity grouping from the University System of Georgia. And so just wanted to point that out. But Native Hawaiian and other Pacific Islander students, like, it is all of our students that are struggling, some a little bit more than others, but I want to point out that it is certainly also impacting white folks as well. Next slide. All right, so we all know and have heard of and work with students who have received the Hope Scholarship. And if you're anything like me, you might struggle a little bit with the Hope Scholarship, right? While we know it obviously helps students pay for tuition, there are a lot of issues and racial disparities that we see in Hope Scholarship attainment data. What I want to point out here is that we are seeing a disparity between specifically white students and Black and Hispanic students who are receiving the Hope Scholarship. So hopefully you all are connecting these dots as we talked about being third in the nation for student loan debt per borrower, right? Like, we are seeing that when students aren't receiving the Hope Scholarship, they are inevitably going to be taking out more loans, right? And so only 50% in 2024 of Hispanic students receive the Hope and Zellmeller Scholarship, and only 35% of Black students, as opposed to 61% of white and 69% of Asian students. We know there are so many injustices, and we could be here all day talking about the root of the issues and these sort of the origin of these racial disparities that we see play out when it comes to merit scholarship attainment. And so the work that we have been doing, or certainly I've been doing at GBPI, but we've been doing with Georgians for College Affordability, which I'll tell you about in a moment, is to say, hey, merit-based scholarship, it essentially yields racial disparities, and we've been seeing them play out for the 30 years that Hope has existed. Need-based aid is going to be an important policy that will help bring equitable solutions and to help the lowest of the lowest students in terms of poverty, in terms of making sure that students have what they need. And so we are constantly, yes, come on, clap it up. We are constantly letting them know that there is a major difference between Hope and Zell Miller's, Hope Scholarship or merit-based and need-based. And this is why we need need-based aid in Georgia. Next slide, please. All right, recommendations to mitigate student loan debt. Let's keep going, Alex. So here's our first solution. I'm not going to get too in the weeds about this, just because it can be very complex, but I will be very high level with you, right? So just like K-12 funding, there is a University System of Georgia funding formula, and there are generally several factors that make up this funding formula. And in Georgia, it is very simple, has not been revised since like the 1980s, very outdated, and does not account for some of the contemporary needs that we have as a public higher education system. So essentially, the University System of Georgia is based on these two, where you see them filled in here, enrollment and base funding. So depending on how many full-time equivalent students are enrolled, you have a certain amount of money that is provided to the institution. That base funding is going to be pretty broad. That's maintenance and operations, that's staff salaries, that's retirement benefits, all of that sort of comes in base funding. But again, it is all set up to, it is all designed rather to meet the needs of the full-time equivalent enrollment. Well, the challenge with that is how we would perhaps describe equality. But let's talk about equity. Equity means Savannah State, and I'm not just rattling this off to be clear. Savannah State, our three public HBCUs, Fort Valley, Albany State, right, have some of the highest numbers or percentages of students who are Pell Grant eligible. Atlanta Metropolitan College and State. Atlanta Metropolitan. That's usually what I call it. Y'all know what I mean. These are some of the institutions that have the highest number of students with Pell Grant. Equity, that box that's not filled in, where that would come in as a solution is to provide additional funding to colleges who serve students with the highest financial need. Very simple. Less about equity, less about you have this many students, you get this much per full-time student, right? More about, okay, we need this enrollment and base funding plus equity funding to ensure that colleges have what they need. We're talking about first generation college student services. We're talking English as a second language, like just students who need support across the board. Equity funding is what we're going to find in a revised funding formula to help advance those solutions. All right, next slide, please. Establish need-based aid. Look, if you all have met me once, heard any sort of talks or presentations that I've been able to discuss with you all, you know I'm constantly talking about need-based aid, and I'm not going to stop until we get a solution. So we're talking about student eligibility in the beginning of their first year. If you've heard of college completion grants, that's helpful and it bridges the gap, much like your Panther retention grants, but you have to have completed a certain amount of hours towards your credential. But we have to be clear that we need early investment. We need to make sure that students are actually enrolling, actually persisting, right? So that they can get to the third and fourth year. We know that first and second year is so critical. So we want to end the beginning. Annual renewable funding. We don't need to sort of keep students, have uncertainty about their budget. We want to make sure that students can count on our third bullet here, substantial funding. That's going to vary. And oh, also I have a report. I'll put the link in the chat so that you can really dig into this if certainly if you're interested in it. But we have specific numbers. We've been able to do some good work. We've got a fiscal note for a bill. And with just $126 million, we could serve over 98,000 students in technical college system of Georgia and university system of Georgia. Y'all, this is major. This is moving the needle with lawmakers on both sides. And so the last point you'll see here is, of course, we want to make sure that this is provided to students who have the highest SAI need, okay? Because little known fact, with college completion grants, it is set up to go to institutions. Mind you, this is money to help students graduate, supposed to be kind of a need-based aid. I put it in quotations because there are some challenges with that. But institutions who have the highest amount of Hope and Zell Miller scholarships are the institutions that receive the most college completion grants funding. That is inequitable. We need to be sending money to schools, or providing schools rather, supplementing for schools that have the highest SAI need and students who are in poverty, right? That's a no-brainer. All right, next slide, please. How are we going to fund this? Again, we're burnt, our biscuits burnt here, right? We have over 1.7 billion. I'm just going to focus on that 1.7 billion because that's unrestricted. So we have a certain amount that needs to be in our education lottery reserve for the Hope Scholarship. And we have over $1.7 billion over that, just sitting, collecting interest. As a matter of fact, last year, the interest was around $119 million alone, just the interest. Notice I said for $126 million, we could fund a need-based aid program in Georgia. Y'all, the money is here. We need to encourage lawmakers, inform lawmakers to use this funding equitably. It is an embarrassment of riches. I get infuriated every time I see this money sitting here, knowing that there is a very high need, and it is in statute, right? The education lottery reserves, it's not just for Hope Scholarship. It doesn't just have to be for need-based. It is very broad language in terms of tuition, scholarships, and grants, okay? So we are trying to just spoon feed this information to our lawmakers and help them see the bigger picture. Next slide, please. All right, now, if you have heard this conversation either for the fifth time, it's certainly time for you to inquire about getting involved. And certainly, even if this is your first time, please, please, please consider joining Georgians for College Affordability. Y'all, we are the biggest, which it doesn't take much because it's not a ton of people who are doing this work, but I can still say we are the largest higher education policy advocacy organization in the state. Okay, we have over 15 general members now. We have a steering committee. If you use this QR code, it will take you directly to the interest form. And maybe it's just like you want to have a conversation or drop in on a general members meeting just to see what we're doing. That's fine too. I just really want you, if you are experiencing a moment where your biscuits are burnt, this is infuriating you, you want more for your students deserve more. I want you to consider collaborating with us, joining GCA. Would love to have you. Alex, I think I maybe went a couple minutes over, but I was feeling the spirit. So please just, give me some grace. But thank you all so much. And I'm going to put a link to the actual report for folks who want to dig deeper. We have some intergenerational stories. I'm so proud. This was a labor of love. So please take a look. Would love to get you all more informed on this issue.
Awesome. Ashley, thank you so much. I think that we got a message about the QR code not working, but we will provide a link that Ashley will send me to everybody who registered for this meeting. So if you're not able to access it today, we will definitely give you that link so that you can join the affordability program. This is near and dear to my heart. My biscuits are burnt, and Ashley is a fantastic leader that's really taking this information and notifying to not only our stakeholders in our state, but our politicians, but our job too as educators is to make sure that if you're fired up about this, you tell them, you tell your legislators, you let them know we're doing this for our kids. We want to make sure that we create access for them, and that's incredibly important. So we will get out all of the information possible for this so that if your biscuits are burnt and if you are lit on fire by these type of injustices for our students, you can join the cause. So thank you so much, Ashley. You're amazing as always. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all. Take good care. Have a great day.
Thanks. All right, we're now going to jump into our SACAC committees. Each of these committees covers a different portion of SACAC, and we've got wonderful leaders in each portion that are going to give you updates. We'll cover a couple of updates for those who couldn't join us, but we hope that you'll learn a lot through these various committees. And if you have any questions, we're here to answer those for you. Okay. Our first one is the Admission Practices Committee, which is headed by Malika Lindsay. Unfortunately, she's not able to present this morning, but the Admission Practices Committee, their entire purpose is to really kind of be our liaison between NACAC practices as well as what we're doing here in the state as well, in all of our states through SACAC. So they're kind of our liaison between our policies, our procedures, and what we should be practicing here. Currently, there are no updates. However, as they come through, you'll get emails about it through SACAC.
And to quickly go over advancement for the Advancement Committee, they are now accepting sponsors and exhibitors for our upcoming SACAC conference in New Orleans. You'll see 2 QR codes here, and they provide access to registration and a breakdown of the different sponsorship packages. If you have any questions, you could reach out directly to our advancement team, advancement@sacac.org. And then I'm going to hand it over to Corey Bailey to talk about the annual conference.
Good morning, everyone. So let me back up. I'm Corey Bailey, conference chair for SACAC, and I rolled on back in March. And so we are really starting things off in my tenure as conference chair with a bang. So we will be having not only our 60th conference in New Orleans, but this is also our 60th anniversary as an association. So as long as we've been an association, we've been living it up. And of course, that makes it perfect for us going to New Orleans to really celebrate that momentous occasion. So for just a little housekeeping, you can see here the dates for our conference will actually be March 22nd and 23rd. But just know that if you would like to come in a little bit earlier, we do plan to have some pre-conference sessions on that Saturday, the 21st. For those of you who are on the counseling side of things, we will be offering college tours on the 21st as well. And so we are currently trying to line up those right now. The goal is that we would have schools that are within a 90-mile radius offering tours on the 21st, and those that are a little bit closer to New Orleans would be on the 24th. And then the 21st is also when the outreach project will take place if you're wanting to get involved with that. Some other things to keep in mind, we are staying at the Sheraton New Orleans Hotel. And so if you're planning to come to the conference, whenever you register, you will then receive a confirmation email that will have the group code, the group rate code for SACAC. So wait and make sure that you are booking within our group code because that rate, while it's subject to the local state taxes, like upon checkout with any hotel, there's actually a destination fee that has not been included in our rate. So if you book outside of the rate, you're going to be hit with that destination fee, whereas with our rate, you don't get hit with that. So just a couple of ways that you can save some money there. Also, our social will be right next door to the Sheraton. So we won't have to worry about busing or shuttling to the social site. We're going to be at the SACAC house. You can look that up online, but it's a really neat place. It's a full buyout. So we'll have that full restaurant or bar to our discretion. And so we're really excited about the SACAC house. It's a beautiful, really cool, neat location. Just so you know, we are in the process of reviewing the session proposals. We had 136 different session proposals. And so a lot of competition, if you will. There's only probably room for about 65 to 70 of those. And so we will be Anita has her work cut out for her on cooling those down, but I know that she's going to do it. She's a pro at this point, but just know that, as any true college admissions counselor would say, if your session isn't chosen this time, it's not a forever no. We may be, if you remember, if you submitted a proposal, you were asked if you would like to opt in to your session being shared among some of our other SACAC committees who have different sessions presented throughout the year or webinars. And so if you indicated that you wanted to opt into that, if your session's not chosen, we'll be sharing that among some of our committees. And then also brush it off and let's resubmit it next year. So, but we hope to be letting everyone know those decisions pretty soon. Our conference registration will open in December, probably somewhere around December 15th, but we'll keep you updated on that. And as long as you register for the conference by or before January 31st, you'll be locked into the early bird rate, which is $350. It'll go up $50 if you wait until February 1st. So you'll want to make sure you jump on that pretty soon, just so you can get that early bird rate secured. Something else I'm using this space to kind of talk about is the schedule itself. So our website's listed there for you. Every information that we have currently ready to publish is located on that website, including the schedule at a glance. And so even though the schedule at a glance is sort of a moving target, it's pretty much ready to go in terms of like the general template or layout. So if you are looking to host a reception for whatever reason, we would love for you to double check the schedule in advance, because we just don't want any receptions conflicting with the annual conference schedule for various reasons. But it would be very helpful if you would try to maneuver your meetings outside of our schedule. The other thing about that is, if you are interested in hosting a reception, reach out to me. My information's on the conference website. We are working and partnering with a local agency there called the New Orleans and Company. And through our reps there, they're happy to work with you in securing maybe a location that's close to the conference site, as well as using partners that they have some discounted rates with. So it would be really good if you would kind of use us as a resource on that. And we can plug you in with New Orleans and Company for all of those types of needs. The other piece, I've mentioned saving money here lately. Something we have done, and I know I'm talking to Georgia, so I hope that I'm not stepping on any toes here, but we're partnering with Southwest Airlines this year. So if you are needing to fly to New Orleans, I know that Delta Hub is there, but we didn't get the kind of the discount rate. There's not the same kind of partnership there. So but with Southwest Airlines, there's a special code that you can use whenever you go to book your flight that will give you a discounted rate to get to New Orleans and back. And so that code is already on our website, but it will also be captured in the confirmation email after you register for the conference. So just another way that you can possibly save some money while you're there. And I think that is it. I know that later on in some of the updates, we'll talk about SIGs, the special interest groups. Just know when you're looking at the schedule at a glance, if you've been to our conference before, you know that there's usually one time where special interest groups get to meet. But this time we've actually secured an additional time in the schedule. So if you've always went to the conference and thought, man, I'd really like to be able to go to this SIG and that SIG, but they're offered at the same time, now's your chance. You can go to both, or you can kind of use your time wisely on that. But that's something that we implemented into the schedule at a glance this time for everybody. So thanks.
Great. Thank you, Corey. All right, we have Ebony Levitt here with the communications team.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ebony Lovett, and I'm representing the communications team with my partner, Dominique Harrison. And we're just excited to share ways that you can stay connected, engaged with SACAC. The Info Hub is the first one-stop shop for all SACAC communications. There you'll find updates and resources and our quarterly blog, The Southern Scope. You can access the blog through the Communications Info Hub or what's coming Wednesdays emails. And so with this, we're really trying to get people more involved with the Southern Scope to read the content that we have. We have a communication advisory board, which are volunteers who have crafted this blog for you, and this is their content, their writing, and we want to just showcase the writing and the efforts they're putting into our communications committee. And so definitely you can log in, click on Southern Scope to see past Southern Scope issues, and then also just to look forward to future ones. You can also go through the information hub to nominate member spotlights. And so with our member spotlights, if you know of a colleague that is doing remarkable work and you want to just highlight the work they're doing either in their role or in their field, please nominate them. We feel like we don't get enough nominations, and then we're like, who can we think of? But we want to nominate people from different states, highlight the works that are happening in states that we may not hear from, and just diversify the people we are nominating. So you can have access to that to nominate people that you think should be highlighted. They must be SACAC members to be highlighted. So if they're not a SACAC member, that's your chance to encourage them to do so that we can highlight their work. And then one more thing with the Communication Advisory Board, it is a volunteer opportunity with SACAC. Right now, we have closed the applications for the Communication Advisory Board, and we are going to review those applications to add on 2 new additional people to help us write content. And if you have any content that you think we're not covering or any topics that you would like to see us cover, you can email us because we want to have more content that you will actually appreciate and engage with, and that will be useful for both sides of the desk. And lastly, stay connected with us through social media. So follow us on Instagram or LinkedIn. We try to keep it updated to post fun things that we're doing, where our members are, the fun events that we're having, and then also keeping you informed on the things that are happening on the day-to-day. And so that's it with communications. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Ebony. And I'm going to hand it over to the Finance Committee. We've got Nancy Wolf with us, and then also Jordan Fields.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to start by talking a little bit about the Counselor Participation Fund. Last year was a fantastic year for that. We were able to award 14 grants for the SACAC annual conference, as well as 5 for the Sweet Tea Tour and Summer Seminar. And we are off to a fantastic start this year for the annual conference. We are up to 88 current applications, which is fantastic. Always would rather have more than less with that to choose from. Thank you for just putting that link in the chat there. That is still open until December 2nd. So if you know of a counselor, if you are interested in it, if you know of a counselor interested in it, priority consideration does go to public high school counselors and CBOs. But even if you don't fall into that bucket, still feel free to apply. We'd love to be able to consider you. And then the application for the summer sessions will open up in February. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to CPF@SACAC, and we'll see what we can do.
The other opportunity is the Extending the Dream grant. I encourage everyone to scan that QR code and then reach out to any students that it could help.
All right, now we've got Christy Conley to talk a little bit about governance and nominations.
Happy Friday. I'm excited to be with you guys today and to talk about governance and nominating. I currently serve as the past president of SACAC, which means that I chair the Governance and Nominating Committee. And I really feel excited and blessed to be in this role because this is when we really get to highlight leaders and people that are doing the good work. Sean Kennedy is a co-chair with me, and so he works alongside with me throughout this process. And we really want to take a moment to emphasize that this is really an important and incredible opportunity for our organization. This is when we get to celebrate commitment, the talent that we have in our organization, as well as it helps us to develop strong leadership so that we can continue to thrive. So we want to talk about what do we need and who are we looking for in these positions? So we are looking for nominations or applications for the president-elect, treasurer-elect, and we are anticipating around 7 board member positions that will need to be filled. We also want to collect nominations for our annual awards. So I love the QR codes that you guys can go ahead and take a picture of so that you can see what the nomination form looks like. We do want to highlight that this form is due on the 19th, so it's a little earlier than the true application. So again, the nomination form is due by December 19th. This is not required for anyone to apply for a board position, but this is a way for people to maybe be nominated or considered that may not put their name in the hat on their own. And so we want to talk a little bit about these opportunities aren't just titles. They're really a way for you to elevate the work of yourself or a colleague. And really, this can help, again, shape our organization, put sustainability in place for SACAC. And these roles can provide a lot of opportunities and experiences that are so impactful. I did want to highlight, I know they were shown at the beginning, but if you're considering the president-elect position, Anita, Arlene, and Sean are great points of contact because you do serve with a trio and they work together and collaborate together a lot. And so it's good for you to have contact with people that are in different points of the cycle if you're considering applying for the president-elect position. It's such a rewarding experience. It's a lot of work, but it's so much fun to have great people in the trenches with you. So definitely reach out to one of them or somebody else that served in the presidential cycle if you are considering that position. And then we also want to highlight our treasurer-elect position. We all know that money does make the world go round in many ways, and SACAC is no different. And so this is a really critical role for our organization. And Julie Maloney is our current SACAC treasurer, and she is doing a phenomenal job. She would be a great person for you to reach out to and touch base with if you're considering this position. A lot of times people will think they have to have an accounting background or a really strong working knowledge of exactly what to do as a accountant, but you do not. We pay people for those roles. And so what we're really looking for is someone that understands a budget and fiscal processes. This is a 4-year commitment. You would come on as an elect position, and then you would serve as a 3-year term if you did put in and is elected for the treasurer position. So again, Julie Maloney is a great point of contact for that. And then in regards to the board positions that we'll be looking for, there is an array of committees that might have some openings. And so when you apply, you do get to say what you might have an interest in, but that is not necessarily determined when you apply. When you put your name in the hat, you are saying that you're willing to serve in any capacity for the board. But that is such a rewarding experience. You get to learn a lot about SACAC and some of the nuances while serving on a committee, but also seeing a lot of those broader context nuances of SACAC as a whole. So what we're looking for there is somebody that's already doing great work and willing to give back to SACAC. I do want to mention too that there is a piece of institutional support that you'll need to have in place. And this is just where your supervisors or your organization that you are paid to work for are saying that they will give you fiscal backing as well as flexibility to serve in the board. And I will just say we are a working board. And so there is an expectation for a time commitment and for you to be at certain events. It's not overwhelming and it's laid out pretty well on the form. But it is good for you to be clear and understand that we are a working board with different expectations to give back as you are serving. And so those are definitely people that we're looking for. We want you to, again, to make sure that you're getting these snapshots of QR codes so that you can apply or send those as a text to people that are on your radar that might want to be considered. And then we definitely want to highlight the award nominations. And this is really one of my favorite parts. I love reading the nominations that are submitted for people. Got a chance to do that last year, and it was really a highlight of the experience. So just kind of thinking we're in the season of thankfulness and of joy. What a better time to think about colleagues that you are seeing spread good joy and cheer with their students or being innovative in their place of work or just in our profession as a whole, and nominating them and giving them some recognition, some shout outs. So take a little bit of time over the next few weeks to think about who is making a difference and who goes above and beyond and who really embodies the values of SACAC. And let's celebrate those individuals. And what better place to do that than in New Orleans? That will be a great time. So think about nominating somebody for an award, and this provides a meaningful way for us to recognize them so their contributions don't go unnoticed. And I do want to just kind of wrap up with just sharing a little bit about why this means so much for me, because I do feel like sometimes we're just in a season of busyness. We're still, if you're on the high school side, watching kids go through the college process, they're still submitting. We're starting to get decisions. And on the college side, you are definitely still recruiting, reading those applications that we're submitting. It's just a busy season. And so I want to really beg, plead, and advocate for you guys to put on your calendar, make some time to really think about who you're going to nominate for awards or for serving on the board, because it really can be a game-changing experience for someone. I would not trade my experiences for anything. I've really grown a lot as a professional, as well as individually, like personally with people. It's been a very impactful experience. So if you're thinking about getting involved, or if you know someone that should be involved, because a lot of times people don't even see things within themselves to put their name out there, I just want to encourage you to think about who could be good to be nominated or to apply to serve on the board. And I appreciate you letting me hop on today. And hopefully you're carving out that time in your calendar as we speak. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Christy. Great to see you. And then we're going to hand it over to Anna with Government Relations.
Morning, everyone. So just a few quick things. So our Voices in Action, which used to be called Legislative Day, will be on February 11th. And I see Brian as well on the call. So Brian and Sandria are planning that, and it is such a fabulous day. It's so much fun. It's really exciting. I promise you'll learn something. And each state, just so you know, each state does have a Voice in Action date. And so, if you have friends in other states, it's something you might want to mention, because I think sometimes people don't always know, what government relations does. And with that to say, if you know anybody who you think might be interested in, helping out with Voices in Action Day, that would be great. You do not need to know anything about it. We walk you through everything. Let's see here. I just want to make sure that everybody knows we also, or sees that we send out a GovRel newsletter. Thanks to Rose, who's also on this call. She does such a great job of putting together a beautiful newsletter. And then also, the one other thing I wanted to mention, which this is not related to Georgia, but you never know, we need a co-chair for Mississippi. So if anybody knows anybody in Mississippi who might be interested in GovRel, would you let me know? And before I wrap up, I just wanted to ask Brian and Rose if they had anything they wanted to add.
We actually have a slide a little bit later for Brian and Sandria to cover.
Oh, okay,
the
great.
Georgia updates. So awesome.
Okay,
Thanks,
wonderful.
Anna. Appreciate you. Lenny had to actually jump off. So really quickly, just wanted to cover Inclusion, Access, and Success Committee. They offer a lot of different opportunities for our members to just learn as much as they can about diversity, access, equity. They have a virtual discussion and book club, which you guys will see on the weekly Wednesday updates. So if you're interested, we highly recommend that you participate in that. They also hold various college admission workshops throughout the year. Ours is actually going to be for the state of Georgia sometime in March of 2026. And Sumana is in charge of that, so she'll send out more communications about that. And a quick update, they are looking for co-chairs, Conference Outreach Day co-chair, which Corey mentioned a little bit earlier, as well as virtual forum co-chairs. So if you're interested, please click that QR code and you can learn more information about applying for those.
All right, and then Member Relations Committee, unfortunately, they weren't able to join, but I'm just going to quickly cover SIGs. I am the Black and African American SIG co-lead. Please come hang out with us at the conference. Very exciting to hear that Corey and the team have allowed us to have 2 separate times for SIG. So if you have an identity or a portion of your profession where you want to get and collaborate with other people, please be in your SIG. And we've got some upcoming meetings for SIGs. These are the ones that have been scheduled so far, and you'll get any updates in the What's Coming Wednesdays that let you know about other SIG meetings. They're also looking for co-chairs, and so the CBO Special Interest Group and campus programmers and rural and small town and tour guide coordinators, all those special interest groups or SIGs are looking for co-leaders. So please fill out the form. Again, it's in the What's Coming Wednesday.
All right, and real quick, wanted to cover the National College Fair. We have one in Atlanta each year, and Sharice Ogle oversees that. Loudine and I are lucky to serve on the committee for that as well. So if you have any questions about participating, please reach out to us, and we'd love to have you volunteer. Real quick, 2025 was record-breaking. We had more students attend than ever. About 6,500 people in total with families. We offered tons of different interest sessions focused on many different topics that really catered to every single type of student and family that attended, which was wonderful for our families. We are looking for counselor volunteers, so please, 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 if you're eligible and able to help us out, we'd love for you to reach out to Loudine or I directly, and we'll set you up with the volunteer form for that. And now we've got Maya Walker talking to us briefly about professional development. Hi, Maya.
Hi, Alex. Hi, Loudine. Hi, Georgia. Hope you all are doing well and getting ready for Thanksgiving break. I know we're over time, so I'm going to try and go through all 5 of these PD programs as quick as possible. And I'm going to start with our 2 probably most popular and most well-known, which is Summer Seminar and Dry Run. So we've been very fortunate for these 2 programs to be able to consistently offer them 2 years in a row in the same location. And so Summer Seminar, which is designed for new or nearly new college counseling professionals, will take place again next summer in the joint collaboration between Belmont and Vanderbilt in Nashville, Tennessee. That registration link will open in the winter, spring, and be on the lookout for that. Usually around conference time is when a lot of our programs, the links become available to register for that experience. We also have faculty for Summer Seminar as well. So in the next couple of months, we'll open up that application for those of you who would like to be considered for that experience. Very similar for Dry Run. It's also a 4-day workshop for new or nearly new admissions professionals, and it will take place again in Winter Park, Florida at Rollins College. In addition to that, there's also faculty choice for that, as well as a participation link, and all of these things come out in the winter and spring, so be on the lookout for that. The next slide highlights webinars and SACAC leads. Our webinars committee was recently finalized. We have 2 new co-chairs that are stepping on, and Nyada Schuler, she wasn't able to join the Georgia State webinar today, will roll off in January. So she is training our new people, and then the committee will join, which we're really excited about. We are charged with doing educational webinars. So sometimes you'll see SACAC send out Know Before You Goes and things like that, understanding, right, the board and award nominations. But we are more responsible for like maxing out the goal that happened in August, where we talked with admission professionals about how to maximize your points and your flights and your hotels, making the most of your job since you have to travel so much. So if you have put in a proposal for SACAC conferences or different types of workshops and it's not been chosen, please email us. I'm going to put our contact in the chat after I finish speaking, and let us know. We're always looking to diversify the educational base that we offer the org. SACAC leads, our leadership development and mentorship program. We actually just announced yesterday who our SACAC leads cohort is going to be. We're very, very excited about that, as well as selecting our faculty. So know that that rolls around every fall. We open up that application for about a month and a half and allow people to apply to be faculty and to be a participant. It's an incredible program. It does have a time commitment monthly up until conference, and then graduation is at SACAC conference. And then last but certainly not least is Sweet Tea Tour, which takes place every summer in June. And we pick a different location every year to highlight different colleges around the SACAC org. So For this summer, we are announcing at all of the state meetings that the location will be Memphis, Arkansas, and Northern Mississippi. This will be the first time we've ever done Sweet Tea Tour in these locations, and we're doing it for a reason because they deserve love, and there's some incredible institutions there that deserve to be highlighted. So for college counselors who want to be on this tour, the registration will open up post-conference, so around April, maybe a little bit of March. Let's see how fast we work. For you to sign up for those. And that will take place, I think, the first week in June. If you have questions, we have Aisha and Kyra's information there. And we're really, really, really excited about the location. And so I just want to thank all of you. I see so many familiar faces on this call for the work that you do for all of our committees, but especially PD. And as always, if you need anything or if you have questions, please reach out to us. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Maya. All right, now we're going to really quickly jump into our state updates. We have just a couple more pieces of information that are super helpful for you guys, so we appreciate you for hanging on. I want to introduce Amy Short, who will talk about our Georgia Drive-In Workshop.
Hey guys, just wanted to let you know that we have February 10th set aside for our drive-in workshop. It is going to be virtual. We're super excited. Last year was the first year that we did the drive-in workshop virtually for Georgia. We had huge success, over 85 participants logged on. So we're going to do that again this year. We already have 3 great presenters lined up for you. Jay McCann is going to join us and do a presentation, about his new book and incorporate some great stuff about college list building. We've got a therapist who's going to be joining us and talking about things from the mental health side, as talking about older teenagers, making that transition, and some strategies for building resilience, transition stress, and some psychological challenges that come with that. And then we are working with GARN on a presentation in terms of how they support students and how they support counselors. So we are super excited, and we will be sending out a save the date soon, so you can mark off your calendars. And as always, it is free. So we hope that you will join us, and please spread the word to your colleagues so they can join us as well. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Amy. And then to talk about Georgia Legislative Day, our Voices in Action, it's led by Brian and Sandria, and Brian is going to talk a little bit about it.
Hey y'all, Brian Cooper from Whitfield Academy. Good to see everyone today. Voices in Action is the new name to Legislative Day. And so that's, as Anna talked about earlier, that's how they'll be branded from now on. With that, February 11th, that's a Wednesday, that's when we'll have Georgia's Voices in Action Day. And I apologize if you hear some noise. Our students are switching classes right now. With that, if you'd like to attend, registration will open closer toward the beginning of the year. And also, if you are interested in helping us to plan it, we're meeting with our committee on December 3rd. And so that Wednesday after Thanksgiving week, just let us know, email us if you'd like to be a part of that committee for planning it. And usually our day starts off at Georgia State University. Same thing will happen this year over at Centennial Hall. And then we spend the second half of the day over at the Capitol building. We've had folks like Ashley to come speak for or on behalf of Georgians for college affordability, and we thank you for their information that they give and that they've provided. David Hawkins has virtually signed on to speak last year as well. And also, we had some folks from Georgia Student Finance Commission to present this past year as well. So we're in the planning process now, and we look forward to seeing as many people as possible to come out. And also free lunch. Everyone loves free lunch, so come on out. Yeah, that's all I got.
Thank you so much, Coop. Really appreciate you coming out and sharing those details really fast. I just want to stress how easy, but also how important it is to get involved with SACAC. Everyone that you've heard from here today is involved with SACAC in some capacity. In the What's Coming Wednesday that's sent out, there are all of these opportunities in different places where they need people to serve. So please, here in the state of Georgia, you'll see that those opportunities, but then tell your friends to also get involved. Call your friends in Mississippi, South Carolina, Florida, Louisiana, Tennessee, and tell them to get involved. Alex, I'll hand it over to you.
Awesome. And then last but not least, before we introduce our state and area initiative committee chairs, we just wanted to say if you're not involved with SACAC or you're not a member yet, please join. It's super easy. There are a lot of different grants that can cover any fees if needed. It's a great, great, great professional development program to be involved with, and we highly recommend that you join. Now we will introduce Darren and Monique to wrap us up. Darren and Monique.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
All right. Hey, everybody. I'm Darren Morgan, 1/3 of the SAI committee, and I'm also joined by Monique Tubbs. Monique, you on? Maybe not. All right. So I do want to thank you all for hopping on today. I do believe Monique is on somewhere, probably running around. But thank you guys so much for hopping on this call, and to Alex and Loudine for all the work that you put in to plan it, to organize it. You had amazing speakers from Ashley Young, Madam Past President, Christy Conley, and so many other phenomenal speakers. So thank you guys for taking out this time on a Friday before Thanksgiving break to spend a little time with SACAC. Monique?
Audio challenges.
All right. Well, if nothing else from us, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes. Well, good afternoon, good morning still, Georgia. Just want to say, just my sentiments the same as Darren. Phenomenal session. Thank you guys so much, Alex and Loudine, for coordinating this, and to all of the presenters for being on and providing such valuable information. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I did have to pop in and out of the session, so I'm excited to view the recording. In case it wasn't said already, I want to remind you that you will get a follow-up email with this information and the resources, as well as a recording, and all of the recordings will be on our SACAC YouTube page. So thank you again for all that you do, and I'm excited that I was able to hop in.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful holiday break. Hopefully you'll have some time off. If you guys need anything or have any questions about anything we covered or want access to any of the resources, you can email Loudine or myself on our screen, and we'll hang back just a couple more minutes. But otherwise, have a great, great, great break, and happy Thanksgiving.
And Loudine and Alex, you guys do stay on once everyone.